Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine just one night under a tree. And that single night fundamentally changes, well, everything. Human understanding forever.
It's pretty incredible when you think about it.
Yeah, we're talking about Siddhartha Gautama, right? Under the Bodhi Tree. Those moments of enlightenment. And this isn't just, history class stuff.
No, not at all. This was a direct, experiential breakthrough, a total shift in how he perceived reality.
And that laid the groundwork for, well, a whole new way of understanding consciousness, suffering, our place in things. So our mission today in this deep dive is to explore those moments of enlightenment. We really want to dig into his big insight about dukkha. It's so central.
Absolutely. It's the heart of the teaching.
And we want to understand why it still feels so relevant, For us today, dealing with our own stunts, our anxieties, chasing happiness.
Right. And to really get the scale of it, you have to picture the scene. Siddhartha wasn't just casually sitting there. He'd been on this intense spiritual quest for years.
Years of searching, yeah.
And he just faced down these huge internal struggles. Symbolically, they call them the assaults of Mara.
Mara, like temptation and doubt.
Exactly. Think of it as all the inner noise, fear, craving, doubt, everything that pulls us away from clarity, our own resistance, basically.
Yeah.
He'd overcome that. His mind was just utterly clear, poised.
Wow. Okay. Ready for the breakthrough.
Ready for the ultimate breakthrough.
Yeah.
This was when he just went beyond ordinary perception, grasped how things really are.
And it wasn't all at once. You mentioned stages.
Correct.
Yeah.
It unfolded step by step through 3 watches of the night. Each one revealed something deeper, interconnected truths.
3 watches. Okay, let's start there. The night deepens. He's deep in meditation. First watch, early part of the night. What's the first big realization? What hits him?
The first major insight is gaining what's called the knowledge of the recollection of past lives.
Past lives, like reincarnation.
Well, yeah, but not just a vague idea. This was a direct vision. Super clear, undeniable.
Okay.
He saw, with just incredible clarity, all of his own past existences. Countless lives.
His own lives.
Wow, and not just his own. That's the key. He saw the interconnected lives of all beings. The whole vast, endless cycle. Birth, death, rebirth.
Samsara.
Exactly, samsara. And seeing the continuity of consciousness across all these lives, it just shattered the illusion of being some separate, isolated self.
Right, because you're connected to everything that came before.
Precisely. And it showed the sheer scale of it all.
Yeah.
This long journey through different forms of existence, the suffering involved for everyone. It was the first real glimpse behind the curtain of permanence,
Yeah.
Seeing how everything just arises and passes away over and over.
Mind-bending. Not just his past, but everyone's past. That sense of connection must have been overwhelming. So seeing this huge cycle, samsara, how did that set up what came next?
Well, it was foundational, really. Once he grasped the scale that life isn't just this one shot, the next logical step was to understand the mechanics, what actually drives this cycle.
Okay, but how?
The how, exactly. And this is where it gets really fascinating. Moving into the second watch of the night, he developed something called the divine eye.
The divine eye. Sounds intense.
It is. Or the knowledge of the passing away and reappearing of beings.
So what did this divine eye show him about how we move through these cycles? Life, death, rebirth. What's pushing us?
With this heightened perception, he saw all beings everywhere, no exceptions, how they lived, where they were born, where they went next.
He could see it all happening.
Yes. And crucially, he saw the direct link, how beings passed from one life, one realm, and reappeared in another based entirely on their actions, their karma.
Karma, cause and effect.
Exactly. But he saw it with absolute precision. The undeniable connection between, say, wholesome actions and good outcomes and unwholesome actions and, suffering.
So he saw people experiencing happiness because of skillful deeds and suffering because of unskillful ones.
Directly, clearly. It wasn't random. It wasn't just luck or fate imposed from outside. This completely solidified his understanding of cause and effect karma as this intricate web that propels everyone through existence. Suffering wasn't arbitrary.
It comes from our own actions. Or choices.
Exactly. Born from our own actions, our volitional choices, which, makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How do your own actions, even the small everyday ones, ripple out? How are they shaping your experience right now?
That's a heavy question. Okay, so a huge shift. First, the scale of samsara, then the engine driving a karma. He's got these 2 massive insights. Dawn is getting closer.
Right.
What happens in the final stretch? The third watch.
Right. As dawn approached, third and final watch, everything starts to converge. He understood the scale. He understood the mechanism. Now he was ready for the deepest truth.
The core of it all.
The core of it all. This was the moment of ultimate enlightenment, his profound, complete understanding of dukkha.
Dukkha, which became the cornerstone, you said.
Absolutely. And it was in this final watch that the Four Noble Truths just fully revealed themselves to him. Not like theories he worked out.
Right.
No, like direct, lived truths. A complete framework for understanding suffering and, importantly, the way out. Liberation.
Okay, let's break those down. The Four Noble Truths. The first one is the truth of suffering, dukkha.
Yes. And this is often misunderstood.
How so?
Well, he realized that all conditioned existence, basically, everything that arises and passes away, which is everything we experience, is inherently marked by dukkha.
Marked by suffering or unsatisfactoriness.
Unsatisfactoriness is a great way to put it. Or dis-ease, stress, inherent imperfection. It includes obvious pain and sadness, of course, but it's much broader.
Broader how?
Even pleasant things, even joy, because it's impermanent, because it will change and fade.
Mm-hmm.
It contains the seed of dukkha.
Right. That feeling when something good is happening, but there's that little anxiety that it won't last, or just the slight letdown when it does end.
Exactly that subtle background hum of unease, or the craving for things to be different, to be permanently satisfying when they just can't be. He saw this pervasive quality in everything, highs, lows, the moments in between. It's fundamental to conditioned experience.
Wow. So not just the bad stuff is dukkha. It's a basic condition of, well, everything that changes. That's a huge reframe. Okay, so that's the first truth. Then the second, the origin of suffering, samudaya.
Yes, he saw the root cause, what creates this dukkha, and he identified it as craving or attachment. The Pali word is taha.
Craving, like wanting things.
It's deeper than just wanting a coffee. It's this powerful, often unconscious clinging. Clinging to pleasant experiences, wanting them to last. Clinging to ideas, to our sense of self. Even clinging to the idea of getting rid of things, of non-existence.
So wanting things to stay the same, wanting things to go away, it's all tanha.
Pretty much. This constant grasping at things that are fundamentally impermanent and unable to provide lasting satisfaction, that's what fuels the cycle. Our craving meets the reality of impermanence and boom, dukkha. Dissatisfaction.
So?
Suffering. It's the engine driving samsara, really.
Okay, so dukkha exists and it's caused by craving, but then comes the third truth, right? The cessation of suffering. Nirodha, there's hope here.
Huge hope. This is radical. He realized that suffering can end. Dukkha isn't mandatory. There is a state completely free from it.
Which is nirvana.
A state of complete liberation, achieved by totally, utterly eradicating that craving, that tanha. It's not about forcing yourself not to want things. It's about seeing craving clearly for what it is, this impulse that perpetuates dissatisfaction when you cling to it. Nirvana is peace, freedom, unbinding.
Liberation from the cycle. Okay. And the fourth truth tells us how to get there. The path. Magga.
Exactly, the practical instructions. He saw the path to actually achieve this cessation, the eightfold path, often called the middle way.
The middle way. Avoids extremes.
Right. It's not about extreme asceticism or hedonism. It's a practical guide covering ethics, how you live your life, mental discipline like meditation, and wisdom, understanding reality clearly. It's holistic. It transforms everything.
So these four truths, unveiled in those final hours, they laid out the whole problem and the solution.
The entire mechanism, suffering, its cause, its end, and the path to that end. At that point, Siddhartha had completely penetrated reality. He knew, he saw it all, and he became the Buddha, the awakened one.
The awakened one. So what did that really mean for him? This wasn't just figuring things out intellectually, right? It was a total transformation.
Oh, completely total. Experiential liberation. It meant the complete uprooting, the eradication of what are called the defilements, greed, hatred, delusion.
Yeah.
Gone.
Gone.
Utterly gone from his mind. His consciousness was completely pure, stable, unshakable, free from all the conditioning that shapes our normal experience. He saw things exactly as they are. Perfect wisdom, and alongside that, boundless compassion for everyone still caught up in it all.
And this wasn't just a temporary state.
No, this was it. A permanent, fundamental shift. The cycle of rebirth, samsara, the cycle of unsatisfactoriness. It was broken for him. Done.
He was truly free. He'd found the answer to the suffering that drove him out of the palace in the first place.
The very problem he set out to solve. And that first noble truth, dukkha, that understanding of pervasive unsatisfactoriness, that was the key that unlocked the whole thing.
A cornerstone.
Absolutely. Without really seeing dukkha, feeling that inherent stress, even in good times, why would anyone undertake the hard work needed for real liberation? Recognizing the problem is the first essential step to finding the solution.
So, the moments of enlightenment. One night. Profound revelations. Siddhartha becomes the Buddha. And his understanding of dukkha lights the path to freedom. Not just for him.
No, for anyone willing to look and follow the path he laid out. Which brings us back to the listener, really. It raises that question again. If craving, if attachment, is the root of this dukkha, this unsatisfactoriness, where are the subtle ways that craving might be playing out in your own life, shaping your own experience of satisfaction or the lack of it?
How much energy goes into chasing things that, by definition, can't last, can't fully satisfy?
Right. And maybe consider how recognizing that impermanence, even in moments of joy, might actually shift your perspective. Could you appreciate them more fully, maybe, without clinging so hard, without that inevitable disappointment when they change?
If dukkha is this fundamental unsatisfactoriness, not just big dramatic pain, how does knowing that change how you look for happiness day to day? Maybe, like you said, real contentment isn't about getting more, but about understanding more, understanding the nature of things.
Something to reflect on.
Definitely. Until our next deep dive, may your own path be illuminated by wisdom and clarity.